the purpose of having this panel really is a gift to all of you, because their mission today is to sort of talk about how they got to where they are in their careers, and they're all at the pinnacle of this career choice, and to talk a little bit about what kind of talent development needs to happen as you aspire to sort of move forward, and maybe talk a little bit about technology and even how BELA has sort of been helpful to them in their careers. So I'm sure every day you have to get better. I'm sure it's all about continuous improvement. Catherine, do you want to kind of be the first to talk a little bit about how you improve your skills, how as you see people who want to grow into these roles, kind of trying to upskill, what advice you have for folks?
I think in terms of continuous improvement, for me, I do a couple things. I read a lot. I'm very committed to the servant leadership model. So I'm in my position to serve the company and to serve my team. And by doing that, I lead them into the right directions and into the right path. So I do actually a lot of reading on leadership models. I do a lot of kind of coaching. And to me, that's an important role that leaders play, particularly for younger compliance officers, teaching them how to think in some ways, not necessarily giving folks the answer, but asking them, how would you handle this, so on and so forth. I think business judgment, common sense, all of it is actually a learned skill, and it has to be practiced every single day. And I try to practice that in my daily work.
If I'm looking to talent, if I'm looking to staff on my team, some of the things that I look to are, one, that Socratic wisdom, right? That humility of knowing what you don't know and being able to admit it. But then couple that with, kind of a corollary of curiosity, which is a love of learning, right? And, and whether that's demonstrated on, some hobby that somebody has or, some side project that they're really passionate about. If someone has passion about something and is willing to take the time to learn about the ins and outs of it and, get to whatever their level of acumen is that they want to arrive at, then you generally can say that they're going to want to learn something new. They're going to have a passion to do that.
I think one of the things that is really fun and exciting about not only the profession of compliance, but also the world that we live in right now is we all have at our fingertips the opportunity to be lifelong learners. And it is the information age. It's not going anywhere, and it's moving at an accelerated pace. And so agility obviously is such a big deal. Being willing to be comfortable, being uncomfortable. If I could go back in time and tell myself, what are the skills that you really want to lean into to both make your job enjoyable, but also to help propel your career, is never be afraid to walk into any room and ask questions and say, I don't know that. I don't know anything about this subject. I love the FCPA story that you just told, because somebody has to learn it first somewhere and at some point. And so really being kind of transparent, authentic, honest is one of the things that I think has been helpful to me over my life and my career. It's not something that is unique to young professionals. I honestly think wherever you happen to sit in your career, that humility.
Tricia's point about don't be afraid to ask questions, and I think that gets harder and harder the more senior you get, the more experience you get in an organization, because people sort of assume assume you've had that experience, and you don't want to look kind of vulnerable in the moment. But it is one of the areas where I see big mistakes get made because people sort of assume they can deduce what the answer is to the question. So I think that's ridiculously strong advice. These guys are good. I'm sure you've noticed that. There's some great stuff here.
I was just going to offer one of the questions that I keep finding myself asking, which again, this is not like rocket science. It's back to the chief common sense officer, but it's, what's your goal? What is the deliverable that you're looking for? And okay, yeah. So it's like it re-engages people. So they think about, what is the goal? what is the deliverable? And it pulls people back out of those rabbit holes, because I agree, this is an area where you can definitely dig very deep. But again, it's just like a simple question.
You really have to recognize a lot of times when you get these questions from the business, you're answering this question from a legal perspective for the first time, and have that courage to take that and know that your outside counsel doesn't know. They're going to do the same research that you're going to do, because no one's asked this question before. And you obviously call your outside counsel and be in it together. But
Definitely call your outside counsel.
But having that bravery to solve that problem and know that there is almost always going to be a solution out there outside of the murder confession that's coming through. Just have the flexibility to get there, and it does wonders for your ability to get the calls from the businesses next time when they need help.
I think one other thing in our space in particular is a lot of times it's really important for us to dig deep down into the weeds and understand a lot of very technical details in order to help the business get to good yes answers, get to good decisions. It's also important in that process, though, to be able to step back and take the bird's eye view. And so don't let yourself get too deep and distracted by every rabbit hole that comes up in a particular problem, but being able to step back and go, where does this fit, and where will this decision or recommendation or conversation come out in the wash in the grander scheme of what the organization is trying to do, what culture you're trying to create, how you're helping your colleagues and other compliance professionals through the thought process to get to good answers.
I've always said compliance and ethics can be fun. Like, who wants to have fun with their job? Me, hi. Like, of course, not everything has to be super, super serious. Obviously, if you're a regulated entity and you have very specific legal requirements, you don't have as much wiggle room, but in a lot of different areas where you're not regulated, and this is more on the ethics side, you can have lots and lots of fun with it, and I think in a way that really inspires your employee base, that they want to do. Again, they want to do it, right? We went from, at Panasonic, I think, less than 50% training completion rate to a 98%. And it's not because I was walking around, or the CEO was walking around telling them, you have to do it because the monitor said so. It's because we made it fun and cool, and they were eager to.
Yeah, it's amazing that most people overwhelmingly want to do the right thing, and often the compliance team is helping them to understand what the right thing is.